They are rare, they are special, and there's really some thinking behind them. And so I'm really happy that I can present you those 3 watches now here in the studio. Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this episode our topic is the 47Zero and 3 watches he made for me, 4 Caseback watches for you. Long story short, Cormac Hanley is a watchmaker from France, or I should say a watchmaker in training. He is a former photographer, and he suffered a stroke and was heavily disabled, and now he fights his way back into the world with watchmaking, and especially with custom-made dials. You can check out his Instagram. There you see a lot of really advanced dials. And I featured his work quite some times here on the channel, and then I was in need of something fresh, and I just asked him during a conversation, could you make dials for me, for the channel, for Caseback Watches? And he said instantly, yes, I can. By the way, and then he wrote me in an email that he was accepted for a job training by a very advanced, I must say, watchmaker in Amsterdam, and with custom-made watches. And then I really thought, that's it. You have discovered Cormac as a young artist. He's not young in that sense, sorry Cormac, but in his beginning of his craft. But let's imagine what the guy is capable to do in 5 years. Now we have the early work, and then we have the middle period, and then at the end we have we have famous Cormac. What an imagination. And I found him. And then we brought this idea further, and we debated things like 3 dials every season. So 3 entire watches, not only the dial. My stupid idea in the beginning was, let's sell the dials, but it makes no sense. You need the entire watch. And he used to use Vostok watches. Nothing against Vostok, but you can have a hard time with them as well. And so I thought, let's take another watch. And then he had the brilliant idea, Seiko 5. And I said, yes, instantly. Hassle-free, good looking, good specs, everything fine with them. And so the idea was then, let's make 3 watches, very special, with very special dials, 3 modded Seiko 5 for Caseback watches. And he asked me where to place the logo, the Cobra, on the watches. And I said, nowhere. I like the Cobra, it's a lovely logo, but in this case, no. I just wanted something absolutely different. And he asked me what he could take as a foundation, as a base for the idea, for the design. And I only said something like, I'd like to see something spacey. I was really into books about the moon landing, and I've played Kerbal Space Program. It's a lovely computer game. I even made a drawing from a communication satellite. So childish. We do this with pencils and fictional satellite. Absolutely stupid, but some magic in it, I thought, and so I only said, yeah, spacey, something spacey, but feel free to make whatever you want. And he did. And so now I have the pleasure to show you 3 unique watches. Every piece is present one time on this planet. We debated, of course, to make them again, but it's handmade. Those dials are handmade, and Cormac cannot do them by thousands, not even by dozens, and so extremely limited, and I really like that aspect. And so let's go in the light box, but before we do this, little invitation as always, in case you're new here. Every Friday I do these longer videos with actual watches in the studio, and then every Monday it's time for Watch of the Week. Those are brief reviews of recently introduced timepieces, and now let's do it. Now let's check out the 47Zero together with Seiko 5. And here we are. And before I explain the design, I give you a quick overview of a Seiko 5 of this particular model. Here we have a case diameter of 37 millimeters, length is 42, 11.5 is the height, and 18 is the lug width, although the bracelet here is a bit wider. This here is 20, so very contemporary Seiko-esque size. And of course you find the crown here on this position. Normally they come with a date. This is a no date position, and setting the time is extremely easy. There you are, and it runs. Those movements are rock solid. You only have to shake them a bit, and everything's fine. The only thing Cormac changed here is the hardlex crystal. This was replaced, and this is now a sapphire, proper sapphire crystal, and the movement is regulated now because we know that Seiko movements are reliable and good working, but they are not super precise. And sometimes you have your 40 seconds off, plus, minus, and this, yeah, we don't want that. But the rest is unaltered, so you have the standard Seiko bracelet with the clasp here. And now let's speak about the design. Cormac told me that it's connected to dreams. They are sometimes feature length, can surprise with all the scripting, the sets, casting, and direction created and played back in a tiny sliver of time. And often our minds trying to make sense of all those random splinters we experience in this you see here. And this watch here really demonstrates what I like with his work, that his designs are thoughtful and there's knowledge behind it. As you can see, they're not cheesy, they're not overly complicated, although they're super complex, but they're easy to spot and easy to value. And still, after some months, you still see this, how the light plays. You may find new aspects. And so, yeah, this is really a month to look at for maybe for years, and you discover new things. And you see that it's handmade. Of course, those lines are, yeah, pretty even, but here you see tiny irregularities. And so it's not perfect. It really shows signs of the creator. And the next design is called Tumble Down. You see again the handwriting of Cormac, these typical features here. Now you have a date and the day. You have these nice hands in the same tone, like those engraved lines. And the design has a bit of a grim story behind it, and Cormac was in doubt if it's clever to tell this story on camera, but you know what, it's a grim time we live in and we have to face it, and sometimes things are not so pleasant as we wish. And so the background here is a book Cormac read about 30 years ago, and it was the story of Robert Lawrence, a soldier who suffered brain injuries in the Falklands War. And it was Cormac's memory of reading this book that inspired him to design Tumble Down, the floral petal design, incomplete but still with beauty to share. And I mean, it's just a great thing to know this story behind this design. And I must say, this is one of my favorites. This is just gorgeous. By the way, changing date and day is very simple. You have to go to position 1 with the Seiko 5, and then in one direction you can change, position 2. In position, within that direction, clockwise, you can change the date, and the other direction you can change the day. And Seiko 5, I think, always come with 2 languages, so you have to search for your language here. This is French and English. And here we have our last piece, which I also love because it's super simple and super complex at the same time. You have only the 9, and it's called number 9. And Cormac wrote here, 2 halves making the whole, winning in an unconventional sense, the 9 schools of Ninpo, which is some martial art aspect. I'm not familiar with that, excuse me, but I just see the point here, absolutely. And he writes, the design also draws inspiration from a vintage Audemars Piguet in the collection of Roni Madhvani. And this I find also very cool. Sometimes you have the opportunity to make collaborations with people, and then you realize that they don't know so much about the history of watchmaking, and they don't have so many references. And this with Cormac I also always loved, that he comes up with very precise advice and very good ideas based on sheer knowledge and overview. And so number 9, Tumble Down and Sliver are in the Caseback watches shop right now. 350 euros is the price for one watch. And I see them not as a business necessarily, but as an invitation for you to join a very special part of the watch world loaded with your personality and passion. Okay, welcome back. And as said, the watches are in the shop right now, these 3 pieces, and I don't want to sell them as some sort of hobby. So you get your proper 2 years warranty, proper shipping, and when something goes wrong, Cormac is your watchmaker for after-sales service, so hassle-free package. And I calculated the price as low as possible because this is our first attempt here, but please understand there are some hours in it, and I get a commission for shipping and arranging everything. Okay, and that's all. I'm very curious about the outcome of this adventure here. I don't mean the money, to be honest. I mean the way and the story around it and the possibilities who are in this project in the future. Okay, but now I have to stop here. If you want to see more insights, then please follow me on Instagram, caseback_Tim. And now let me thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.